For me, I want to be able to, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. I want to be like someone like that, even though your opinions might be not liked by a majority of people. I know my opinions are not liked by a massive majority of people, but I still believe that my message is true, and I want to be able to articulate myself in a way that when I'm having a conversation with someone that's also well-versed in their subject, that we have a educated discourse, and I'm not speaking off of passion and emotion.
Yeah, I see. And you just brought up something super obviously controversial, something I definitely wanted to ask you about. What do you think is the proper stance? Do you think it's at all okay for people to say, hey, look, like, this guy is terrible. This guy, is it okay for people not to care?
Okay, so this is this is why I want to take my time in studying what I study, to be able to articulate it, because I'm going to give two realities then. So the first one is the literal reality that we live in right now. What we're told is happening about, Israel might be involved. People on this side are mad and people on that side are mad. And people on that side are empathetic and that side are empathetic. But you see a lot of people with so much anger. I think, honestly, there's a lot of healing that has to do within the human consciousness. And that's why I feel like a lot of people who take the stance on they're happy that a life was lost, I do think there's a lack of knowledge of said person to be able to think that way about said individual. I watched Charlie Kirk not because I was a diehard fan or a conservative in any way. I don't even go down the middle politically. I'm very outside of political standards. Like, I don't really, it sounds crazy, like anti-establishment at the moment, but not on some violent anarchist type of energy, just very questioning about how the political structure is. But
not trusting anyone.
You really can't, because you hear a lot in the media, the world's a stage, and they tell you right to your face that it is. So there's a lot of things that you really have to really be cautious of, because not only did Charlie Kirk die on September 10th, but the day before, an innocent girl was stabbed in the neck. And they have a lot of controversy in that story as well. Like, oh, is it black on white? He did it because she was white. And that causes racial divide. Now, the very next day, you have an individual who spoke up and revolutionized the Conservative Party with Turning Point. And it was backed heavily by Republican congressmen, Republican candidates, presidents, and whatnot. And then he was gunned down. And now you have a political divide. And then what happens a couple hours later is the school shooting. And now you have a weapons divide, a freedom divide, a rights divide.
Yeah.
And then right after that, 9/11. The very next day is 9/11.
Oh, well, I thought you meant like actually 9/11. I was I think you're off by 20 years or so, but no. Okay,
9/11, 2025. And then there's the, I guess you could say again, racial divide or country divide in terms of power structure. These things are not coincidence. These things are all calculated purposely, and they use the sky, they use the moon. All those days were the 4 different phases of the moon. And the moon has a lot of energy. So people need to realize you feel these ways about this individual, yes, because you have a soul, but you're being manipulated into feeling these ways because they cause chaos.
But let me ask you this. Do you think at all, though, maybe it's not necessarily that people are getting manipulated, but maybe it's because like they see maybe some things that he has said or something like that. And I'm just asking, just devil's advocate here, like, do you think like maybe there is a right? Because like some people look at clips of him, some people say he's racist, some people say, oh, that, just bad things about him, that he doesn't like women, this, that. And he also said, obviously, one of the things that is trending the most is that he said, oh, in response to like school shootings, that gun deaths are absolutely necessary for gun rights. I'm saying that is an absolute, I don't know if you remember how he phrased it, but it was like perfect trade or kind of something like that. It was a trade-off in a way.
Essentially phrase it as a trade-off in some sort.
I'm aware,
that
yeah.
one had to happen with the other.
And it to me at least, and I'll say this at least that it's to me, it's hard to kind of, process the situation when you have, obviously, look, nobody should get shot, period. Nobody should be getting murdered. We don't want to live in a world where this is okay, where, obviously you can go, what if someone, I don't want someone to see this and hear you say, hey, I support Charlie Kirk, or I felt sad, and go shoot you. Like, that's not the world I want to live in. We're allowed to have peaceful convos, and even if it's the worst people, I don't think they should be, just shot up like that. So that's not what I'm saying at all. But it does make it a little bit more, troublesome when you hear someone like, hey, like, this is, the gun deaths are basically necessary. His death was necessary for that, right? So he kind of, in a way, died on that hill. So I think there is definitely a group of people that just are offended by him, that don't like him. Like, what would you say to that? Or do you think that really is just still just like, the left? Because maybe that all is influence from the left. What do you think?
Having positive feelings for a loss of life will always be wrong, no matter if it's Charlie Kirk, Adolf Hitler, Obama, you, the guy behind the screen right now, because the mere thought of life being lost and feeling grateful for it, you emotionally are not better than the person that you're persecuting. You are automatically putting yourself consciously even with the person that you want to die.